Welcome back to the Big Brew-view, and I'm really excited to bring you a British beer that personally I never thought was going to come to the Perfect Draft, but I'm really pleased that it has. It is, of course, Trooper. Now, I absolutely love this British ale. I always have, and do you know what? I've kind of forgotten about it because you don't see it very often. It's brewed by Robinsons up in Stockport, Manchester, that sort of area, and you know, you don't see it down my way, and I've loved it. I've had it on draft a couple of times and it's fantastic. They do it in the bottles, and when I saw it on Perfect Draft, I just had to do it, just had to get involved on it. So what have we got here? It is a British ale. It's an original one in Cheshire, England. It is a 4.7 ABV, and yeah, it's a 4.7 ABE, and obviously it is a British ale, which I know some people don't like. I quite like British ales, to be honest with you. I mean, let's just have a look again. Look at the quality of that keg. I mean, that looks great. It's got Eddie, the Iron Maiden mascot on it. Just fantastic. I picked two kegs up, and got the free glassware. Again, you know, glassware looks absolutely fantastic. Charged with flavour, Trooper premium British beer, created by Iron Maiden. And there's Eddie there with his British flag doing the light brigade. And do you know what? Brilliant. But let's get stuck in, shall we? Let's have a go. I'm really looking forward to this. Oh, it's a bit lively. Bloody hell. Do you know what? I'm really happy with that pour. Let's get involved, shall we? So, we've got roughly a 2-finger head on this one. Really compact, sort of off-white, creamy head. Obviously, we've got that lovely, deep amber. It's referred to as a golden ale. Personally, I wouldn't call it a golden ale, but that's what it says on the Perfect Draft website. 4.7% AVB. And do you know what? Look, nice carbonation on it as well. The glasses, I should have showed you earlier, have actually got Eddie's skull marked out underneath. So they are nucleated glasses, which is quite interesting for a ale. But yeah, no, I'm happy with it. This isn't my first one out, guys, because I was so keen. I really wanted to give it a go. But I just had to review this because I was so looking forward to it. So, without further ado, let's get involved, shall we? Oh, right, okay. So straight away, I'm getting a really big citrus note there for it. You know, really malty, zesty, like a lime lemony sort of zest to it. That's really coming through, really strong. And again, you're getting that sharp bitterness on the nose. God, that smells absolutely gorgeous. That does. Obviously, got me snout in there, and now we're down to a 1-finger white head. Good, really good carbonation there. You know, from that little skull nucleator in the bottom of that glass. Small bubs, but enough carbonation in there. Let's have a little sip, shall we? Oh, that is lovely. That has such a quality English ale bite to it. And it does have a bite. So if you're first trying this and you've never tried it before, it is a bitter, but it has a very zesty like kick right from the off. It leaves a really refreshing aftertone on the palate. But if you're not used to that, this might not be like the first one to try if you're trying to get into like English ales. But I mean, fantastic. Really malty. Getting that grain coming through. That zestiness of... What am I getting there? Like, sort of lemony, you know, like a zest to it. A very, very citrus note to it. That's what I can say. You know, it's not overly like hoppy or anything like that. Being, you know, with some sort of English ales, you know, they're not overly hopped. You know, there's nothing fancy going on. This is probably, you know, I mean, they probably haven't changed this since like they did it with Robinsons and Iron Maiden. Do you know what I mean? So it's a simple brew, but it's absolutely fantastic. You know, it's a great example of a British ale. And actually that a collaboration that's worked quite well, in my opinion. There's quite a lot of ales out there that have collaborated with bands, you know, and various people, etc., and companies and what have you. Or, you know, two breweries doing something, and it just hasn't quite worked. Robinsons has really hit the nail on the head with this. Really has. It's just fantastic, guys. Really crisp, smooth on the palate, you know, very drinkable, like very quaffable, I would say this beer is. You know, you can certainly see yourself chugging a few of these down. I know it's 4.7%, but this is a good session beer, you know, good session ale this is. Really is nice. You know, I can see you sitting at the pub, you know, nice hot summer's day, quaffing a few of these, and you know, you're onto an absolute winner. Like, you really are. Same thing as well, you know, you're talking steak night, you know, steak and chips, pie and chip, you know, proper, you know, British classics, fish and chips, you know, anything with chips. But, you know, this will go down an absolute treat. I mean, we're in the peak of summer here now. And okay, right, I will be honest, this has come straight from the Perfect Draft Black. It is at 3 degrees. You know, it's probably warmed up a little bit since doing this, but, you know, I know the recommended is 5, I believe, on the Perfect Draft website. Up to you guys. You know, I always say I like my beers very cold and my ales cold. That's just who I am. But if you've got Perfect Draft and you want to try Trooper or any of the others, you know, pour it out and leave it on the side for a minute, and then, you know, before you drink it, just give it a little toppy two on the head. Like, it's a no-brainer, really. But at this temperature, absolutely phenomenal. So good. Really rich and a very well-bodied ale, and that lovely citrus note that you get on the back of it as well. You know, that's absolutely fantastic. I will admit, first pint of this, drinking that citrus nose really gets you in the back of the throat. And you think, that's quite sharp. You know, and, you know, it's a bitter. It's meant to be. That's what it is. It's meant to be bitter, you know. But you think, that's a bit sharp. But when you get into it and you're working down the pint, you get more, you know, you get used to it. Your palate gets used to it. And it just becomes a moreish drink. That's what I find. And I think it's absolutely fantastic that, you know, Perfect Draft are bringing on Robinsons and different breweries. You know, you have to talk about Trooper and the Pinter. You know, they did a collaboration and now Robinsons are on here. People can say what they want. They can say Robinsons is selling out or whatever. But I think it's a very smart move for them, I do. There's a lot of hostility, should I say, about Perfect Draft bringing a load of British ales to the system. You know, and people want, you know, those lagers, those other lagers that they've got, you know, in Europe and further afield. And fair enough, I get that. But I think it's a very smart move, personally, to bring more things like Trooper, like Bass, you know, on the system. Because there's a lot of us in England that love a good ale, and we don't want it overly hot. We don't want any complication. We just want a solid pint of ale that does the job. And this is exactly what Trooper does for me. It's, you know, to be honest, for me, a Trooper is like I would say, an 8 out of 10. You know, if I had to be 10 out of 10, I'd like it to be a little bit darker and a little bit more well-bodied, you know. But then we're sort of leaning away from the ales onto, not stouts, but like, you know, your stronger ales. But it's absolutely fantastic, guys. I mean, the glassware is just phenomenal, really. They did such a good job on the glassware. Like, they haven't overly done it. Eddie's there on the front, especially, you know, with the keg as well. This is the time, Perfect Draft, when I wish you had you know, the graphics on the front, and then you could open it up and Eddie would be there straight away rather than on the side. But apart from that, absolutely fantastic, guys. It's such a good pint, and I really recommend it when you can get your hands on it. It is fantastic, and it is a bit smoother than in the bottle as well, because you can buy this in the bottle. So I think Perfect Draft have pretty much nailed it with this. I really do. And that's all I can really say, guys, about it. So thank you so much for all the love and support that you've shown on the channel. I really do appreciate it. And I see you all next time in the big review. Cheers, guys.